Good morning and welcome back to our Dragon Boat tutorial series. In this episode, we're going to be teaching you how to steer a dragon boat. So what is dragon boat steering? Well, it's the second most essential part of dragon boating, other than paddling. It's the act and action of controlling the direction of the boat and how it moves in the water, which is usually done from the back of the boat by a steers person, who is usually in a standing position and holding a much larger steering oar to steer. Now, much like paddling, steering involves a variety of skills, which are both physical and mental. And although paddling may be the most important aspect of dragon boating, steering is by far the most difficult. Now let's talk about the physical side of steering. There are two main physical elements of steering: balancing and handling. So what is balancing? Well, it's essentially the act of balancing while moving in a dragon boat, and it can be extremely difficult for beginners to pick up on, and this makes it quite daunting. A key part of balancing is learning how to find your centre of gravity and how to hold your body weight on a single leg, which I'll be teaching you later. Let's take a look at some balancing drills that you can use to improve your balance. The first drill is to try standing on one leg and closing your eyes. Now, try to hold it for 5 seconds and then go up to 10, 15 and so on until you can do it almost indefinitely. The second drill is to try close your eyes and walk around on the spot in a circle. Don't go into a full spin, just simply turn around on the spot over and over again. In both of these situations, closing your eyes will allow you to rely on your legs to support you instinctively, rather than basing your sense of balance on the horizon. Another drill you can try is while on public transport like a train or a bus, try to stand up and try to balance while the vehicle is moving without holding on to any handrails. This will allow you to try and anticipate the vehicle's movement, so you get used to adjusting your footing. Some tips I'd like to offer you to try and assist your balancing are: number 1, try to keep your feet arranged like a Pythagorean triangle, where the diagonal distance between the front and back foot acts as the hypotenuse of the triangle, holding your torso, which is usually your centre of gravity, between your feet. I think this is the best way for maintaining balance. You should also try to keep your knees relaxed and slightly bent. You'll need to do this to compensate for the boat's up and down movements. Locked knees usually just make you fall over the boat. You should also try using the sides of the boat to try and help you stay in position. I'd also strongly recommend that you get a pair of water shoes and throw a towel down at the steering platform where you'll be conducting your steering, as this will improve your traction on the boat and stop you from slipping or sliding, or in the worst case, falling over. Now let's move on to the second physical aspect of steering, which is handling. Now this is the action of holding the steering oar. Now what you want to do is you want to try hold the steering oar so that you can hold the handle of the oar with the same arm as your forefoot. So for example, if your left foot is your forefoot, your left hand should be at the top of the handle. You also want to hold the oar with your free hand along the middle of its length with your remaining hand. Now, correct handling is extremely important for dragon boating. It essentially decides how the boat will move through the water and can be critical in a race situation. How to steer the boat: you need to push or pull the oar in the opposite direction that you want to travel in. Maintaining the boat's direction involves managing the push and pull forces of the water. This is quite an awkward sensation to get used to at first, but with practice, you'll eventually become proficient. To get good at handling and steering, you'll need to practice a lot, and here are some drills that you can do to improve your handling and steering. Now, before starting on the water, try and shake the boat with the oar by thrashing it about from side to side along the boat. This will get you used to the weight of the oar and the weight of the boat at the same time. You should also try practice turning the boat 90, 180 and 360 degrees while the boat is stationary in the water. This will help you gain control of the boat. You should try practice this sitting down on the side of the boat and eventually progressing to standing up. You should also remember that the oar of the boat can be quite heavy, especially while standing up for extended periods of time. You should consider working out your legs, back and arm muscles at the gym to build up the necessary strength to effectively control the boat. Some tips for handling and steering are to consider wearing gloves to improve your grip on the oar and to stop splinters from cutting your hands. You should also remember that good posture can go a long way in helping you handle the oar. If you happen to slouch, now would actually be a good time to try and work on that. Now let's move on to the mental side of dragon boat steering. So, most of the crew will naturally look to you as a leader, so you need to build up those leadership skills as a dragon boat steers person. You should always try to take the time to build a rapport with the crew. Encourage them even when they are tired. Try to become a friend with them as much as possible, and don't punish them too hard if they make any mistakes. It's also quite difficult to command the respect a leader needs if you yourself are not that good at your job in the first place. You should definitely try to work on the physical side skills before the mental skills necessary to be an effective dragon boat steers person. Effective communication skills are so important, not only in dragon boating, but in all sports. You should always try to think before you say something, and when doing any sport, you should make sure that your communications are clear, understandable, and are loud enough to be heard by everybody. Never be afraid to shout. You need to make sure that your communications are clear. You shouldn't just shout faster when you want the crew to be faster. This is vague, and it only tells them that you want to go faster, but not how. This is also quite a good chance to brush up on your dragon boat terminology. Give an instruction that draws from this vocabulary, like Power 10, which instructs the crew to give 10 powerful strokes consecutively. Your instructions and communications should also be understandable. You need to make sure that the crew actually knows what the usual instructions are. In the previous example, a crew which didn't understand the meaning of Power 10 would have no idea what to do in this situation. You should also take care to learn how to properly enunciate the words you give. My tips are to always try to pronounce your T's and vowel sounds in particular. Lastly, your communications and instructions should be loud. All sports always involve an element of shouting. In competition, it's likely that you're not going to be the only one shouting and giving instructions. In fact, people are more likely to think you're doing something wrong if you don't shout than if you do. You're also going to have to compete with all the other people shouting to get your voice heard by your crew. Some exercises to improve your shouting are to work on simply inhaling and exhaling large volumes of air. This helps build up your lung capacity for when you have to yell extremely loudly and for a sustained period of time. My last tip for you, however, is to never give up, no matter how tough it may be. It's quite difficult to learn all the necessary skills and training exercises, drills and skills that are necessary to become a dragon boat steers person. But trust me, this will all be worth it when you start competing for the first time and eventually win your first race. Thanks for watching, everybody. Come check out the next episode when we discuss how to organise a dragon boat team.